The victory of Sofronio Vasquez, the winner of Season 26 of The Voice, was a momentous occasion because he was the first Filipino and Asian to win the crown. His silky voice and passionate performances won over the hearts of viewers. His path, as it was depicted on the show, was framed as a typical example of a rags-to-riches story. A young man from a poor upbringing in the Philippines, rising through sheer talent and persistence to attain global fame on many occasions. Nevertheless, while his triumph spurred celebrations, questions developed regarding the authenticity of his narrative. Some admirers and detractors allege that his humble beginnings may have been embellished for dramatic purpose. There are also some who believe that his narrative is not entirely accurate. This debate, which has its origins in discoveries about the political ties and socioeconomic position of his family, demands a more in-depth examination of Vasquez's life, the power of narrative in reality television, and the complexity of truth in the public eye. Without a doubt, the rise to fame that Sofronio Vasquez experienced was nothing short of amazing. Vasquez was born in Mindanao, Philippines, and he grew up in what he regarded as a difficult environment. According to his NBC profile, he did not have access to basic comforts such as a bed or indoor plumbing. While he was going through a difficult time, his father, who was a huge influence, instilled in him a love for music that became a beacon of hope. During the early stages of his musical career, Vasquez participated in local singing competitions such as Tawagang Tanghalan and It's Showtime. With these events, he demonstrated his versatility across a variety of musical genres, including jazz, R&B, and pop. In spite of the fact that he did not emerge victorious from these competitions, his performances have acquired a significant internet following, with covers such as That's What Friends Are For, accumulating millions of views. After the passing of his father in 2018, Vasquez made the decision to come to the United States in 2022 with the intention of pursuing a profession in music as well as a degree in dentistry. He decided to make his home in Utica, New York, and while he was developing his trade, he worked as a dental assistant. A defining milestone in his life was when he made the choice to try out for The Voice. Because of his blind audition performance of Rolls Royce's I'm Going Down, he was given the opportunity to receive a unique four-chair turn from coaches Michael Bublé, Snoop Dogg, Reba McEntire, and Gwen Stefani. Ultimately, Bublé became his mentor. The trip that Vasquez took through the competition was distinguished by outstanding performances, such as The Power of Love, Crying, and Unstoppable. The culmination of his adventure was his emotional win on December 10, 2024, which came with a prize of $100,000 and a recording contract with Universal Music Group. An essential component of Vasquez's appeal was the narrative of his triumph over adversity. He described his childhood in a squatter's neighborhood in Misamis Occidental, where his family was constantly threatened with the possibility of having their home demolished. This narrative struck a chord with fans, notably in the Philippines, where his victory was compared to a national victory, equivalent to a Super Bowl moment, as Bublé did not mention. Upon being announced as the winner, Vasquez's emotional reaction, which consisted of falling to his knees and crying, appeared to be the culmination of a struggle that had been going on for his entire life. He paid respect to his late father, whose death in 2018, due to kidney failure, had revived Vasquez's enthusiasm for music. His story was further emphasized by his tribute to his father. According to what he shared with .com, The Grave of His Father, which had the verse Timothy 4-7, which reads, I have fought the fight, I have finished the race, I have kept the faith, served as a source of motivation for him to endure. Throughout his journey with Voice, this story of overcoming adversity and triumphing over poverty served as a foundational component, establishing him as a relatable underdog. His modesty and authenticity were hailed by both coaches and fans alike, with Bublé referring to him as the hope of so many people. However, as Vasquez's reputation developed, there was a growing amount of skepticism regarding the veracity of his past. The story of Vasquez's rise from poverty to wealth is rooted in the fact that his family was connected to a powerful political dynasty in the province of Misamis Occidental. Aide Paraginod Vasquez is his mother. She is the sister of the late Reynaldo Aldong Paraginog, who was the former mayor of Azumis City. Reynaldo Aldon Perotjinog was assassinated in the Azumis raid, and the deaths of 14 additional people, including Reynaldo's wife and siblings, was a high-profile event that was connected to claims of governmental corruption and operations related to drug trafficking. The portrayal of Vasquez's childhood as one of tremendous poverty has been called into doubt by certain individuals as a result of this relationship. The tale was called into question by a concerned citizen from Vasquez's region who wrote a letter to the Philippine news outlet Rappler. In the letter, the individual accused the publication of failing to fact-check his claims that he grew up in an area overrun by squatters. Those who were critical of Rappler pointed to the publication's own reporting on the power of the Perotjinog family, which included a family tree that included Vasquez's mother and his late father. The conversations that have taken place on social media, particularly on websites such as Reddit, have given rise to conjecture. Some people have referred to Vasquez's story as poverty porn that was constructed in order to increase his popularity on The Voice. Detractors contend that Vasquez's family's political connections reflect a level of privilege that is contradictory with his narrative, despite the fact that Vasquez has acknowledged his father's humble beginnings, stating in an interview with Vogue Philippines that his father grew up destitute. There are problems that arise regarding the nature of Vasquez's upbringing, as well as the function of narrative in reality television as a result of the controversy. Even within a politically connected bloodline, it is not inconceivable that Vasquez's family experienced financial difficulties during his childhood. It is not always the case that riches is synonymous with stability or comfort in every aspect of life. Political dynasties in the Philippines frequently navigate difficult socioeconomic environments. There is a possibility that Vasquez's assertion that he lived in a squatter's area is indicative of a period of difficulty, potentially before to or in spite of the influence of his family. The tale is further complicated by the fact that he pursued a degree in dentistry on a scholarship, which was made possible by his uncle. This raises the possibility that he had access to possibilities that are not generally associated with great poverty. On the other hand, the way in which his narrative was presented on The Voice, focusing on the absence of fundamental conveniences, may have been exaggerated for dramatic effect, which is a typical approach in reality television in order to produce interesting storylines. A more general criticism of the way in which the media often takes advantage of personal hardships in order to evoke compassion and involvement is reflected in the phrase poverty porn. A discussion regarding authenticity and the ethics of narrative construction in the entertainment industry has been sparked as a result of the disparity between the claims made by Vasquez and the history of his family, regardless of whether or not this disparity was deliberate. Despite the fact that Vasquez has not openly addressed the subject in depth, he has made references to personal hardships, describing the narrative of his family as very tragic and not friendly in interviews. Despite his victory on The Voice, he continues to concentrate on his music and the chances that it presents. The fact that his instructor, Michael Bublé, has continued to encourage him and even collaborated with him on future musical ventures is something that he has expressed his thanks for. Vasquez's performances, which include his soulful rendition of Unstoppable and his gospel-infused take on Elvis Presley's If I Can Dream, have helped to solidify his real accomplishments he has accomplished. The fact that Vasquez was the first Filipino and Asian to win The Voice has served as a source of motivation for millions of people, particularly in the Philippines and throughout Asian communities. Regardless of the subtleties of his childhood, his path from local singing competitions to global fame highlight the power of determination. His career began with him competing in local singing competitions. Despite the fact that it is being scrutinized, Sofronio Vasquez's story of rising from poverty to wealth sheds light on the complexity of truth in the public narrative. The ability and emotional resonance of this individual cannot be denied, regardless of whether his boyhood was as deprived as depicted or whether it was formed by the perks of a political family. In the realm of reality television, where storylines are manufactured with the intention of captivating people, the debate serves as a reminder of the thin lines that exist between real-life authenticity and storytelling. As Vasquez continues his journey, it is probable that his music and the message of perseverance that he conveys will define his legacy. This demonstrates that skills speak for themselves. even though stories may be questioned.